We gonna kill every last one of you.
It's showtime.
Thumbs up.
I'm still here. Just shit eaters.
Hi, it's Paul from Paul's World of Movies, and we're going to look at a rather revised view of Bride of Frankenstein. This is The Bride. It's directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, sister of Jake Gyllenhaal, who surprisingly is in the film. So helping Big Sis with her movie, and this is her first movie as a director. Which is good and bad. The two leads are Christian Bale as Frankenstein, and the bride is Jessie Buckley, who is phenomenal in this movie. Now, it's not often I hear this or would say this myself, but she outshines Christian Bale in this film. She is by far the star of the film. Christian Bale, despite his lead role, if you want, is very much a supporting actor in this, I think. She just absolutely blows it away. It's weird, it's wacky, and but it is intriguing in a strange way. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, I believe. 2 hours 15 minutes, so 135 minutes, maybe 125 minutes, I'm not sure, but it's quite long. Personally, I think it's a little too long. But it sets the Bride of Frankenstein style of movie, in which Frankenstein is a lonely old soul. Not surprised, he's not a pretty looking fella, and he goes to a mad scientist type who asks for her to create a bride. A little bit of modern twist on it. It's a female mad scientist, so we're going into the old women stuff, women equality stuff, which is, it's fine with me. So how they come up with this bride is, it's very similar to the original film from the 30s. They dig her up and make her come back to life, which all sounds very easy and very matter of fact, but obviously it's a bit of a process and it's not easy to do. And then when they bring the bride out, Jessie Buckley, the character, is kind of, her character kind of has a Mary Shelley moment. So Mary Shelley, if you don't know, is the author of Frankenstein. Back in the 19th century, she wrote the film, or the book, sorry, films then. And so her, I don't know, it's a ghost or whatever, but her spirit, if you want to say, gets inside the bride as she is, and creates some havoc at times, which causes the bride to freak out, talk weird, talk with an English accent, very posh, and do strange things. Now, this takes a bit of doing. So again, Jessie Buckley as the actress involved and stars very well in this part. Goes off the wall at times, and it's very, very weird in occasions as well. It's set in 1930 Chicago, and it's very much, well, it felt to me like a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, but with monsters, being Frankenstein and the bride. There are some weird moments in it. Like there's a couple of dance moves in it, dance scenes, which there's one in one part where it kind of reminds me of like Thriller, or the actual film reminds me of Rocky Horror, and because it's set in Chicago in the 30s, the Chicago the musical, there's kind of all that sort of imagery involved in there, which kind of distracts somewhat from the film at times. It's like, oh, what's going on here? It's like it's almost like an interlude, intermission kind of thing almost, but it's not. And there's a couple of odd scenes that I felt weren't needed. Like there's a part where the bride has got her head in a glass container, and then she finds it hard to breathe. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but hey, you know. The film itself is looks fantastic. It's very well made in the sense of the way it looks, the way it feels. It feels very real, very 1930s. The makeup is outstanding for Christian Bale in particular as Frankenstein, and the bride. It's got this sort of black stuff that's dyed her on her face, which looks weird, but gives her a twist, an odd look. And the makeup on her is bizarre as well, with the crazy hair and things. And it has so much potential. It's so close to being what it could be, but it just seems a little crowded. There's a little bit too much going on. I think the story needs to simplify a little bit. Give you an example where it kind of goes off the rails for me. Just saying, for me, is Frankenstein is obsessed with the movies. And he just happens to be obsessed with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who's a movie star of that era. So he often is in the cinema, and he's got his face mask on, so you can't really see him very much. And he doesn't look particularly odd, except for when his face mask is missing, of course. And he's in there watching these films with Jake Gyllenhaal in them, and he loves it, obviously. And then he envisions himself in the film, so he's like a dancing in the background, or he's in a scene with photos, and he stood there as well, and things like that. So we get the idea that he loves films and he would like to be loved like Jake Gyllenhaal's character is the movie star. So we don't need to know any more than that. That's fine. But later in the film, there's a scene with the drive-in movie where the bride and Frankenstein are talking in the car, and when they're talking, they turn up on the screen. Now that's okay, because we've seen that before. But where it gets weird is, while they're talking in the car, their voices can be heard all around the drive-in. So their thoughts or their conversation is actually coming through the cinema, and everybody can hear it. And it just, what's that about? I didn't get that, and that just threw me off. So the fact that you could see them was one thing, but hear them, I'm sorry, that lost me a bit, and then it all got a bit weird. So that is one example of things that just, I don't know, I didn't get what was going on there. I didn't really get what that was about. But those sort of things confuse you, put you off, and so it just distorts it somewhat. The pacing is a little bit up and down. Sometimes it's really quite good, nice and steady, or fast even, and other times it seems a bit drawn out and a little bit too slow. But for a first movie, I'd be very pleased with that. If I could make a film like that, or I'd be well chuffed. It's not going to appeal to everybody, because I don't know what people are going to expect to see with this. If they're going to go in there and think, oh, it's a remake of the 1930s movie, then we know exactly what it's going to be like. And I think there'll be quite a lot of people disappointed. Now, one thing it's not, which I've also already heard comparisons to, is Joker 2. Whatever it is, the French thing, I can't remember what it's called, but Joker 2, basically. When that came out, it was a disaster, because everybody hated it, because it was singing all the way through it, pretty much. There are music pieces in this film, but it's not a musical by any means, although it hints of, or reminds you of, musicals, as I've alluded to earlier. But the film itself is not a horror, not in a traditional horror. It's got horror subjects, but it's not gory, it's not particularly violent, apart from a couple of smaller scenes, a couple of attempted sexual scenes, but it's good in its way. If you go in there and you know what it is you like, and it appeals to you, you'll know within 5 minutes if you're going to like this. I'll tell you that. The first 5 minutes are a bit wacky. If you like that, you're in. If you don't like that, or you find it a bit unsettling, as I did, you might be a little unsure of yourself. But as it goes on, it sort of releases some of what you're expecting, and a few things you're not. So it's kind of hopefully, if you get past the first 5 minutes and you like it, or at least you couldn't sort of tolerate it because it's a little bit weird, then I think you'll be in and you might enjoy it. Now I've given this a 6 out of 10, and a lot of that is due to the makeup, the leads. Both leads are good, like I said, but Jessie Buckley is here, just about at here. Both really good though. Penelope Cruz is in it, and who else is in it? Annette Bening as the mad scientist, and one of the Scards is in it as well. So it's a strong cast, and it should be a really good film. And it's not a bad film, but it's not as good as it could be. It's so close to being a good film, but not quite. Anyway, I don't want to harp on about that. I've already mentioned that. So if you've seen this film, what do you think? Let me know. I always want to know. If you're not sure about it, or you'd like to know more, I'm more than happy to answer you any questions you've got. As I've mentioned before, check out my Facebook page, Paul's World of Movies, or you can look at my other reviews on Paul's World of Movies on the YouTube. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and ring that bell, and I'll show you all my other videos as they come out. So have a good night, a good evening, and I will see you soon. And as always, I'll see you at the movies.